Hey everybody, it is Brian Barron here with you, making sure that this is going to go okay. So I am here on our YouTube channel. We're trying to make this a regular thing where I am here from my home office in Michigan doing live chats with you, and I invite you to send in your questions. I am going to be muting myself so I don't hear the talk back. Yep, let's talk skincare for the next hour. Let me know what's on your mind. Let me know what you think about Paula's Choice skincare products. If you have ingredient questions, if you have skin concern questions, if you want to ask me about beauty trends, any of that stuff, just let me know. And I'm just sitting here with nothing else to do. Okay, of course I have something else to do, but I like spending this time with you guys. This is such a fun, and it really is fun for me, way to connect with some of our most ardent Paula's Choice customers. And so many of you have told your friends and family about us, or if you haven't just come right out and divulged it, they have pulled you aside and said, look, your skin looks fantastic. What are you doing? You got to tell me. And then hopefully you're sending them to paulaschoice.com. But all right, let me dive in with a few questions. Just get the ball rolling. Chrissy To Be Lovely, I should probably put my reading glasses on, says, what's new for the PC line in 2018? Well, Chrissy, I can't tell you that. You're going to have to wait until 2018. I can't give you specifics, but what I can tell you is that you can expect some very interesting, definitely innovative products from us that are going to help you capitalize on the results that I'm hoping you're already seeing from the existing products in our line. This, it's actually a good time for me to mention that, of course, Paula's Choice, we're innovating, we're doing new products, we're stacking the decks to make sure that you have even better skin in 2018 than you did in 2017. But one of the reasons that we continue to offer new products is so that you have more opportunities, more options. And I get that that can backfire because you get to the point where there's so many options you don't know what to use. We're working on making that easier. But we really want to allow our customers to put together a customized routine, really a skincare wardrobe, if you will, that allows them to tailor the products they use based on the skin issues or whatnot that they're experiencing on any given day. I have to take a sip of tea, excuse me. No Star Wars class today. So I think what you'll see in 2018, without giving away too much, is more products that will allow you to do that will allow you to fine-tune your routine, that will allow you to experiment with different ingredient combinations in a way that you probably haven't done before or may not have even thought of doing before, but lucky for you, we did. We're always thinking. So I really anticipate the launches in 2018 to be pretty darn incredible. I think you're really going to be happy with them. I don't think that any one skin type is going to feel left out in the cold. At least I hope not. But as always, you will tell us. We love your feedback. Let us know. Okay, Tara Steiner says hi. Hi, Tara. Louis Vaz says, hello, is squalane a good antioxidant? Thank you. It isn't known for its antioxidant power, but squalane, which is an emollient ingredient, it can be animal-derived, but given most consumers' stance on animal-derived ingredients and animal testing and whatnot, it typically is not derived from animals anymore. It comes from olives. And olives, as you may have heard, are a pretty darn good source of antioxidants as well as fatty acids. But the antioxidants in squalane, they're there, but I wouldn't steer you toward using like a pure squalane product as your antioxidant serum type item in your routine. It's a nice ingredient. This is a good time to remind all of you that skincare is never as simple as one ingredient, even if it's really, really good, like retinol or hyaluronic acid. And to some extent, squalane. Squalane is actually a really nice emollient ingredient. I haven't verified this recently, but I read some time ago that squalane is one of the few emollient ingredients whose chemical composition comes very close to the oil that our skin produces. So the thinking is, if you have dry skin, you put a squalane-rich product, and squalane shows up in a lot of moisturizers, but you put that on your skin, and on the surface, your skin says, hey, this kind of seems like, my natural oil. I know what to do with this. And it, in theory, will make dry skin feel even better than if you had like just slathered some Vaseline on it. Okay, Danny says, hi, I would like to be able to use dry shampoo, but my scalp always gets irritated. Do you think there are any gentle dry shampoos on the market, or are they all simply a no-go for sensitive scalps? Well, Danny, let me state up front that I'm not the ideal go-to person for dry shampoo recommendations. I'm aware of some of the more popular brands. What I haven't seen is a dry shampoo that does not contain fragrance. And I understand why. First, most consumers want their shampoos to have fragrance. And fragrance isn't a problem for your hair. Douse your hair with fragrance if you want to. My apologies to anyone who sits close to you, but if that's your thing, go for it. Fragrance is a problem for your scalp, and when you know your scalp is already sensitive, it really is best to avoid adding any more, or minimizing your exposure, I should say, if not eliminating your exposure to fragrance. Not an easy task, though, because there's only a handful of products, including a couple from Paula's Choice, our shampoo and conditioner, that are truly fragrance-free, meaning they also don't contain any fragrant plant extracts or fragrant oils masquerading as not really fragrance, really beneficial, and they sort of aren't. They're just fragrance. The other thing with dry shampoos is that most people like to use them in between regular shampoos, i.e. in the shower. And what happens after 2 or 3 days of not washing our hair is that our hair and or our scalps can start smelling not so fresh. Doesn't mean you're unhealthy or anything like that. It's just kind of a fact of life. And for some people, it's worse than others, just like some people have more noticeable body odor than others do if they happen to skip that antiperspirant in the morning. Just a thing. So most dry shampoo, every dry shampoo I have seen contains fragrance, I suspect for that purpose. You pss, 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 all over the scalp, you fluff up your hair and kind of restyle it. The dry shampoo ingredients are going to absorb any excess oil, to some extent some styling product buildup so your hair feels renewed without actually getting wet and going through the whole usual shampoo process. So I'm trying to think of I just really haven't. If any of you watching know of a fragrance-free dry shampoo, because again, not the dry shampoo expert here in terms of knowing what's out in the market, please note that in the comment section for Danny, and she can take a look at that as we go along here. I was thinking, though, if you can find a fragrance-free baby powder that's either talc or cornstarch based, you could experiment with sprinkling some of that on your scalp. And then you'll want to either comb or brush it through, and I'm talking just sprinkling on a little bit. We're not talking about making it look like it's snowing, when you do this, and it can be a little messy, but I know that there are fragrance-free baby powders out there, and the main ingredient in those powders are the same type of absorbent ingredient you'll find in dry shampoo. So that could be a workaround for you that won't send your scalp over the edge. Megan says, hey, Brian from OK again, which maybe means OK is in Oklahoma. Oklahoma. Either way, hi, Megan. Let's see. Moving on here. You guys are just full of questions today. This is awesome. So how do you know when you're a non-2012 says, how do you know when you've done all you can with topical treatments and it's time to enjoy your work rather than keep striving for the impossible? We had this question last week. May have been from the same person. Go watch that live chat and see what I said then. No, actually, I still think whether it's the same person or not, or just the same question, I do think it's a great question. And let me see if I can give you a shorter answer than what I did last week. So 2 things. There are some skin concerns related to aging that skincare alone cannot address. When you start seeing jowls, when you start seeing those marionette lines that get etched through here, when you start seeing the 11s between your brow or those vertical lines on your horizontal lines on your forehead, skincare has limitations on those signs of aging in terms of really being able to make a big impact. And you need to talk to a cosmetic dermatologist about the cosmetic corrective procedures that are available to address those concerns. And it isn't an either-or type of thing. What it is you want to keep using your great anti-aging skincare routine, recognize when things have plateaued, and then say, okay, if I want it to get better than this, I'm not going to keep chasing the next miracle cream. I'm not going to go to Neiman Marcus and go up to the cosmetic counters and say, what's your most expensive eye cream or lifting cream or neck cream or throat cream or whatever. I'm going to call my dermatologist and talk to them about the anti-aging procedures, and they can absolutely be non-invasive procedures that will complement, pick up in the results department where skincare stops. If you are seeing an even skin tone, if you like the texture of your skin, if your skin has a nice buoyancy and resilience to it, if it's even colored, if you're not experiencing bumps, if you are noticing that since you've been using your skincare, your fine lines and wrinkles look less apparent than before you started, there is a point where skincare does all it can do, and then from that point out, it isn't that you can't try anything new, but you need to continue using your products to maintain those results. These are cosmetic products. Technically, they're not causing permanent changes in your skin. Much the same way, if you stop eating healthy food, your health will steadily decline. If you stop using healthy, well-formulated skincare products, your skin's going to decline. All right, let's see. Tina says, I need help with large pores. Girl, you and me both. If it doesn't look like I have large pores, it's because the resolution of this camera isn't quite HD enough. No, I do have pores. Everybody has visible pores. If you have very dry skin, your pores are smaller. The best thing I have found to keep my pores diminished, to keep them from becoming clogged, is regular use of a beta-hydroxy acid exfoliant. I go back and forth. Actually, I use several of our exfoliants from Paula's Choice, but the one I use the most is our Calm Redness Relief 1% BHA lotion exfoliant. The 2% BHA liquid in our line is far and away our most popular beta-hydroxy acid exfoliant. That one, for me, is actually a little bit too strong, ironically, because there are other exfoliants in our line that have a higher percentage of acids that I can use once or twice a week with great results. The new advanced smoothing treatment with 10% AHA that we just launched, like maybe 48 hours ago, if that, wow, that is amazing. It's, if you used to use our weekly resurfacing treatment with 10% AHA, which is a liquid and which is still available, don't panic, it isn't going away, at least not yet. It might down the road, we'll see. You'll let us know if you want to see it hang around or not. The new advanced smoothing treatment with 10% AHA comes in a dropper. I actually have some over in my product closet, but I will stick with this here. It has a serum-like texture. It's super silky. doesn't have that any sort of a sticky or a tacky finish. I have tried some other high strength type leave-on peel exfoliants here and there from various other brands, and I've never been really happy with how they've felt. They give good results, but aesthetically they leave something to be desired. So this exfoliant that we just launched with 10% AHA, it's an AHA blend, and 0.5% salicylic acid, really hits, or what is it, ticks all the boxes that they say down in Australia, because it smooths, it refines, it feels silky, it has a beautiful finish, it layers well with other products, and it really makes a noticeable difference overnight, just like our weekly resurfacing treatment, the liquid product does. So give it a go. Large pores, closing out that topic. We can bring it up again if you want, but BHA exfoliant is the way to go. A lot of people get and enjoy using various absorbent clay masks. We have our new charcoal mask, the skin purifying charcoal mask, I think is the name. I'd have to double check. Just launched, and that can help diminish visible pores as well as helping to unclog those surface little bumps that you start seeing. They can kind of help lop that off so that the contents inside can go, we're free. Anyway, okay, so those are two options. Chrissy Too Lovely says, I absolutely love the PC line. Been a fan for over 17 years. Love this line. Well, thank you for being with us for all of those years. We love that. And we will keep doing what we can via products and information. That's one of the really cool things. How are we doing on time? Okay. That's one of the really cool things that I love about Paula's Choice, and I'm hoping that you, as some of our most diehard fans, love as well, is that we're not just selling products. We're not even just selling great products. We're offering great products, and we're also offering you, for no additional charge, you don't even have to buy anything if you don't want to, and come to our site and find all this incredible information about how to take the best possible care of your skin. Information that my team and I have written, Paula has written and edited. We spend so much time behind the scenes doing research on all of the topics that we know are important to you, because you tell us, and you know, we pay attention to what's going on in the world of skincare, and when we come across that interesting information, we just wrote a very interesting article, two of them actually, that will be posted hopefully this month, about prebiotics and probiotics and how they relate to skincare. The research in this area is fascinating, and in the past, I know in some reviews on Beautypedia that we should probably go back and take a look at, we weren't necessarily all that keen on those ingredients in skincare products because there really wasn't much research to back up their effectiveness. So we kind of thought, you know, they're just capitalizing on the dietary trend of probiotics and translating that to skin, but there really isn't any research there to justify the inclusion. Well, now there is, and there's more every day, and it's absolutely stunning what we found out about that. So I think you'll really want to check out those articles once they're posted. And I'm hoping that you really are taking advantage of all of that expert advice. It's how it's categorized. All of those articles that we make available to you. And they're available from our mobile platforms as well, so you don't just have to be tethered to your desktop to get that info. Next question. Yvette says, is it bad that I shave my face? I heard it can thin the skin and cause wrinkles. Well, if that is the case, Yvette, I am in deep trouble because I have been shaving my face for quite some time. No, that is absolutely a myth. Shaving does not thin the skin or cause wrinkles. Wrinkles are caused by a combination of factors. Shaving not really having anything to do with it. If anything, one of the reasons that I've heard, and I do tend to believe this, is that men tend to have younger looking skin because they shave their beard area, and that shaving, no matter how you do it, is a form of exfoliation. It's a rather, I want to say archaic In other words, I wouldn't say don't bother with an AHA or BHA, leave on exfoliant, just take a Bic and do this and you're good to go. That can be damaging if not done properly, and it's not even going to give you the same type of results. So no, that is not. If you need to shave your face to remove unwanted hair, and if you've there are more elegant ways to deal with small, like if you have the peach fuzz on your upper lip, there's waxing, there's sugaring, there's electrolysis, which is definitely ouchy at first, but when done properly, it can have long-term results because of the effect it has on the hair follicles. So your peach fuzz gets less and less and less over the years. There are other hair removal options you can look at if you find shaving to not be working as well as you'd like it to, but it is not a cause of wrinkles or thinning to the skin. My 14-year-old son has just started Isotretinoin. Any advice? I know he's going to be dry skin. Anything else? So this is from Megan. One of the things that I don't think a lot of people who use isotretinoin is an oral vitamin A drug that is prescribed by doctors for when someone's acne and oily skin has not responded to anything else. It is typically a last line of defense because it has some pretty potent, serious side effects that you absolutely must discuss with your doctor. This medication is not just for anyone with acne, and is absolutely not for somebody who gets that occasional zit that they are worried about ruining date night. This is like serious, severe acne. And if your son is on this at 14, I'm assuming his acne is bad enough that the dermatologist said we've got to bring out the big guns. One of the isotretinoin doesn't just make the skin dry. It can dry the inside of your nose. It can dry the inside of your mouth. It can make your lips incredibly dry. So two things that he should have on him. Well, let me back up. Make sure he has a fantastic lip balm, not a chapstick, not as in like chapstick brand. That's mostly wax and not nearly as effective as what I'm talking about here. An example of a great lip balm is our Lip and Body Treatment Balm, which comes in the pot. It's thick and emollient and rich. He can slather that on at night before he goes to bed, and then apply it again in the morning. Or if you live in a sunnier climate or he's going to be outside a lot, have him put on a product like our moisturizing lip screen, which is colorless. It's not at all like lipstick. It looks like a chapstick. Don't worry, it's not. He won't think it looks like a cosmetic or makeup. But that Lip and Body Treatment Balm is fantastic. There are some other great lip balms out there. You can check our list of the Beautypedia team's list of favorites on beautypedia.com. The other thing is to get either like Aquaphor ointment or CeraVe's healing ointment or even just plain Vaseline. And this is going to sound a little gross, but take some on a cotton swab and actually put it in the visible portion of the nostril here, because that is going to get very, very dry. It's one of the reasons that a lot of people who take that medication have frequent nosebleeds, because the tissue inside the nasal passages just gets so unbelievably dry. So at night, he can dip a little bit into the ointment, a clean Q-tip, swab it around the outer portion here that you can kind of see when you look up. Do not do this. Don't have him stab his brain. Just this visible portion here. He may also want to do the same thing for his ears, because this portion of the ear may end up getting really dry and cracked. So there's just a lot more maintenance in that regard. And all of his skincare should be as gentle as possible. If always check with the dermatologist in terms of what other anti-acne products that may make sense for him to keep using. And follow the doctor's advice regarding that. The doctor may have decided to not have him use any medicated topical products and instead just stick to very, very gentle, soothing products, which is totally fine. The Paula's Choice has some options there as well. You can contact our client services team for specifics. Let's see. But yeah, good luck with that. I honestly, when this medication works, it works beautifully. And my brother took it for his teenage acne. I, for some reason, lucked out I had bad acne, but not. I had acne that I thought was bad, but when you're a teenager with acne, the tiniest little pimple is, your world's over. But my brother definitely had acne worse than I did, and so he was a candidate, clearly, no pun intended, for that medication, and I stopped at Retin A, and that at the time, this was back in the late 80s, that did a number on my skin. But forever grateful, because that is when I started using sunscreen every day, and I think that's a big part of the reason why I am almost 44 and don't have a ton of visible sun damage. That and 18 years of using Paula's Choice skincare. Okay. Anonymous 2012 says, P.S. People compliment me all the time on my skin, and yes, I send them to PC. You rule! Why are you anonymous? Can I use the cleansing oil alone? This is from SJ1605. Can I use the cleansing oil alone, or do I have to follow up with another cleanser? You can use it alone. Totally fine to use alone. It is not formulated to only go so far with cleansing. Well, it is from the standpoint of it's not going to strip your skin, but it isn't a two-step process. There are people out there that either like to or need to do what's called a double cleanse, where you remove heavier makeup and or long-wearing sunscreens with an oil cleanser and then rinse that off, and then you use your regular water-soluble cleanser, be it a gel, a cream, a foam. That's called a double cleanse. The order I just described is what's typically done in a double cleanse. You may have read other combinations as far as like reversing that order. I think it makes more sense to do it the way I just said, but there's no, you're not going to get hauled off to jail if you do it the other way. All right. Oh, Megan says he just started at 3 days ago. Okay. Well, yeah, again, Megan, really, I wish him good luck, and encourage, keep a regular dialogue with your dermatologist going. If your son is up for it, or maybe you can do this and he'll just like verbalize it to you. I know teenage boys aren't the most talkative. They kind of like go inside themselves for a while, and then, 4 or 5 years later, they won't shut up. But I was going to suggest keeping an isotretinoin diary of sorts of the side effects, if as they come along and how bad they are. That's really important information to share with your doctor, so that they can see the pattern of issues that might develop. And he could be one of the lucky ones and have minimal to no irksome side effects. But again, it's just something to pay attention to and keep a regular dialogue going with the doctor. If they don't check in with you, make sure you check in with them. Tara says, is there any link between nutrition and skin issues like KP, which is keratosis pilaris, or acne? Tara, I have never seen any research linking nutrition issues to KP. The cause of KP is believed to be genetic. Now, if you go back far enough, or maybe future research will reveal that there is a nutritional component that impacts that factor, that hereditary trait, maybe. Let's not rule it out. But I haven't seen anything to date that says that that is a cause. So I've not seen any dietary connection there. There have been links established with diet and acne. What's frustrating is that these links aren't true for everyone. And surprisingly, the issues aren't what you commonly hear of, as in chocolate causes acne, greasy, fatty foods like French fries cause acne. I wouldn't advise any of you to eat those foods on a regular basis, although I personally think 85% dark chocolate is a gift from heaven. And I enjoy a little square of it every now and then. I try to wait until I'm having a really fantastic glass of red wine, like a really good Cabernet, and then you have your dark chocolate square with it, and talk about dessert. But anyway, what the research has shown about diet and acne is mostly about dairy products. Various reasons for that, and it doesn't matter if the dairy products are from grass-fed cows, it doesn't matter if they're organic, it doesn't matter if it's fat-free or whole milk we're talking about. There isn't really a strong connection between yogurt, which is a dairy product. I mean, there's soy yogurts and whatnot, but a classic yogurt that you'll find in a grocery store, Greek yogurt, what have you, is made with cow milk. But I believe the reason that dairy yogurt isn't implicated as being an acne trigger is because of the probiotic strains that are added to the yogurt. That's my theory. What you can try doing if you think when you're struggling with acne, you want to do everything you can to get it under control, right? There's no reason not to look at your diet and say, okay, am I eating any of the suspect groups? Refined sugars, as in like refined simple carbohydrates, have also been implicated to a certain degree, mostly because of the what happens inside your body when a lot of those foods are eaten. I'm not talking about the occasional piece of chocolate cake or whatever at a birthday party. I'm talking about, your sugar count is off the charts, and most of what you eat is highly processed. That can have an impact. So keep a food diary, see what, and eliminate certain foods. I would start with all sources of dairy. I'm sorry to say that does include cheese. And see after 2 weeks, maybe even a month, how your acne responds. Don't make dietary changes without also taking steps via skincare products to get your acne under control. It may be the combination of both that really gets you to where you want to be, but for certain, the dietary issue alone, if that's all you did, you're still going to struggle with acne. You may not break out as much, but if you're doing nothing via topical skincare to get the acne under control, that's going to not make you happy. You're still going to be dealing with acne, albeit to a lesser degree if you happen to be, indeed, sensitive to dairy in that regard. All right, Paula's trying skincare. Oh. How do you know your skin's barrier has been compromised? Ooh, this is from Allie, who's on our social media team. Hi, Allie. Generally, your skin's barrier has been compromised because your skin begins acting and or looking sensitive. It can be more sensitive to the touch. It can start getting a little bit blotchy. You may see some visible redness, and you normally don't deal with those types of issues. You might find that the normal cleanser that you use, even though it's a gentle, fragrance-free cleanser, all of a sudden is leaving your skin feeling tight and dry. Another potential sign is that the moisturizer that you normally use all of a sudden doesn't seem to be doing its job anymore, and you can't blame seasonal shifts. It's not like you went from humid weather to a much drier climate, or it's that stark change definitely happening in Michigan, where you get the humidity drops, you get the cold, dry air that comes in. Everyone's slathering on the heavy-duty body creams because your skin just starts getting itchy and uncomfortable and almost feeling like it's a size too small. Those are the main ways. Other visible signs of a compromised barrier can be skin that just looks thinner. You can start getting almost like that sheeting-like dryness, and skin can just kind of feel like very delicate. Just in general, the surface is just more reactive. And so the more replenishing ingredients, the more barrier restoring ingredients like ceramides, like hyaluronic acid, glycerin, cholesterol, lecithin, the omega fatty acids, all of those, niacinamide would be another one, are wonderful for rebuilding and strengthening that barrier. And that really is our skin's barrier. It is monumentally important to our skin's outward health and appearance. The more you can do to keep that barrier from breaking down and becoming depleted, which pretty much lets in everything that you don't want and allows to cause even more damage, the better your skin's going to be. Aw. Megan says, and yes, PC is the end all be all skincare for my aging. curiosity too. Okay, thoughts on emu oil. Emu oil is an animal oil, animal-derived oil. I've seen studies out of Australia. Um, I hope I don't get this wrong. I believe the emu bird is native to Australia, but it might be native to New Zealand. My apologies if that is the case and I got that backwards. But I have seen studies out of Australia that have looked at the comparative studies between emu oil and mineral oil and found that emu oil was better in several different ways. They're very similar, but emu oil essentially had better aesthetics and was better able to reduce what is called in a clinical setting transepidermal water loss, which is a fancy way of saying that emu oil helps your skin hold on to its own moisture. But there are a lot of ingredients that can do that. Again, let's not get hung up on one in particular. Emu oil is a fine oil if you want to experiment with it, but I wouldn't say use emu oil at the expense of or instead of any other ingredient. It's one of the reasons why for our moisture renewal oil booster, we didn't just say, oh, hey, argan oil is great or safflower oil is great. Let's put that in a bottle and call it an oil booster. We researched the various oils that have the most impact on skin and then in what ratio. And then we combined 9 of those in our oil blend. So you're not just getting a one-note, so to speak, product. You are getting a multifaceted product and benefits from all of those oils. DD Panda says, talk about the new 10% exfoliant you just launched. Is it replacing the 10% AHA liquid? It is not. Let me recap for those who may have joined late. The new exfoliant is a serum. Serum-like fluid texture, comes in a dropper dispenser. It's right in the cap. You just go boop, boop, boop. So you could squeeze out. I squeeze out like a dime-sized amount on the top of my hand, and I kind of just mix it in, and then I'll just apply it to my face. And I might add a little bit more at night if I'm feeling fancy, or if my skin is looking like it needs a little bit more help that evening. And it's just very easy to use, and it is very easy to layer with our other products. So I'll put that on after I tone. I'll put on our brightening essence or maybe some C15 Super Booster, and then I'll put on one of our antioxidant concentrates. Right now I'm loving the Resist Intensive Wrinkle Repair Retinol Serum. Love that serum for this time of year when my skin gets a little drier. And I sometimes will finish with a moisturizer, sometimes not. I've got combination skin. So often when I layer those treatment products, which also have some hydrating ingredients, I find that my skin doesn't really need a moisturizer too. But I always, since we launched it, I've always used the Resist Anti-Aging Eye Cream. That made me a believer in eye creams. Okay. I'm going to get to some people whose questions I hadn't taken yet. New names, that is. Lizelle says, do you think PC will ever come out with a darker tint for Resist Super Light Mineral SPF? Never say never, Lizelle. The funny thing is, when we created the tint for that product, it really wasn't created to give color to the skin. And we didn't sit down and say, well, let's make sure this looks good on people who have light to medium skin tones because that's our target audience. It was nothing like that. We've got Paula's Choice customers of all races all around the world. And that's amazing. The tint that was added to the Super Light was added to offset the white cast that nobody wants on their face because it kind of makes you look like a corpse, that 20% zinc oxide can have, even when, as we do with the Super Light, we're using the micronized form, which basically makes it more cosmetically elegant. So it wasn't ever intentional, like, let's do this tint to add color to the skin. It was just to offset the white cast. So it's an interesting question, though, because a lot of our customers use it as a tinted moisturizer and love it for that reason. And yes, because of the color it is, these people who really love it for that reason do happen to have lighter skin tones. The Super Light Daily Defense SPF 30 is one of our top selling products around the world. It's very popular. Um, it's a great product. Uh, so not in the works right now, but I can certainly share that with Paula and the rest of the team. It certainly would make sense for the people that like using this as a tinted moisturizer that we do offer a darker shade that doesn't look ashen on darker skin tones. So thank you for your question. Angela M. Angela says, "Hi Brian, what's your opinion on azelaic acid? Is it just for pigmentation, also acne and texture?" Azelaic acid is a multifaceted ingredient. We just wrote a new article on that ingredient too, and that will be posted soon. So it is, I think azelaic acid can exfoliate when it's formulated in the right pH. It isn't quite the exfoliant superstar that alpha hydroxy or beta hydroxy acids are, but when properly formulated and used in amounts of about 10% or so, 10% or greater, you will see some skin refinement there, which of course, if you've used exfoliants in the past, you know what kind of results, the results are generally pretty impressive. It is primarily for discoloration issues. There are two products, I should say, that your dermatologist can prescribe that have a higher amount of azelaic acid. One of them is called Finacea, which is prescribed to control the symptoms of rosacea. And the other is Azelaic, I believe. And that is prescribed for discolorations, particularly the more stubborn discolorations due to a skin issue known as melasma. And that is the Azelaic form can also be used to help reduce acne. But it's particularly good, and this is kind of what got me more excited about azelaic acid, is that even in lower amounts, it can help reduce the look of post-acne marks, which so many of us who break out struggle with. You take care of that pimple, and you've got that pink, red, tan, or brown discoloration depending on your skin tone. Me being so light, mine tend to be pink to red, but they can last forever. And azelaic acid is one of those ingredients that, because of how it works on skin surface, can hasten the way that those marks look and can help get your skin back to normal faster. So yes, azelaic acid, big fan. We actually sell a product with azelaic acid it's exclusive to Europe. It is called Resist Skin Transforming Multi-Correction Treatment. So if you are excited to try Paula's Choice version of azelaic acid, you can, for the time being, order that from the Paula's Choice EU site or paulaschoice.co.uk. Yes, Oklahoma. Sean Odell says, "Is black cumin seed oil classed as a fragrant oil? Is it okay to use or is it better to steer clear?" You know, Sean, I'd have to double check on that, but my spidey sense is tingling, and it's telling me that black cumin seed oil is a problem. Let me hop on a website real quick, if you guys will just indulge me, because I'm geeky in the sense that I hate not being able to provide you with a clear-cut answer. Just a question like that, as opposed to, what's the meaning of life? Let's see here. Okay, so it's also called black seed. I'm on Natural Medicine's comprehensive database, which is a subscription-based site that is kind of like the Consumer Reports of natural ingredients. They get all of their information from published research sources, like what we do for our articles and how we formulate Paula's Choice products, but they compile all of this information into one site. So it's something that we have subscribed to for years, and it isn't cheap to subscribe to, but I find it to be pretty worth it. It says topically black seed oil can cause allergic contact dermatitis, which is basically a way of saying it can irritate your skin. Black seed contains an essential oil. Yeah, it's got some of the chemical constituents in black seed oil can definitely cause skin irritation. So, like a lot, this is a great example actually, because here's a natural ingredient that gives your skin good and bad stuff, and we only want you to give your skin natural ingredients that deliver the good stuff, because you don't need the bad. It just gets in the way of the good being as good as it can be. So here's an example though, because black seed oil contains these constituents that give it its fragrance. And I've never smelled black seed oil, so it could smell fantastic, but what's good for your nose isn't good for your skin. But it has limonene, it has something, it has a terpenine alpha, all of these campylophenol alpha, all of these fragrance ingredients that are volatile and can really sensitize your skin. But on the other hand, it says black seed oil is a rich source of polyunsaturated fatty acids such as linoleic and oleic acids. The fatty acid content of black seed is around 80 to 84% unsaturated and 14 to 20% saturated. So all of that is great, but there are fatty acids and oils that have those ingredients in them. Where did you guys go? Oh no, did I lose you? Okay, let me see if I can get this back, because the chat is still going. One moment, please. Live stream. Events. Live now? Okay. We'll go back to the live control room. Okay. We are still going. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, all of your questions are still here. For some reason, I must have accidentally clicked off of our YouTube feed, but hopefully, let me know if I'm like not back or whatever. Okay, I'm trying to figure out, I'm just getting to the point where I left off. Patsy says, hi Brian, do I need to use SPF when it snows? I am a Portuguese 42-year-old woman and not used to snow. Oh, hopefully you like it. And I wonder if I need to have an SPF on my moisturizer. Yes, Patsy, every day, 365 days a year, rain or shine, summer or winter. The reason is, it's even here in Michigan and maybe where you're living now too, because it sounds like you're not in Portugal. If you're experiencing snow, then maybe Portugal does get some snow up in the mountains. Geography, not my strong suit. It isn't about sun exposure. So even in the cold, dark, gloomy days of winter, if your skin is seeing daylight, if you can see your hand in front of your face, even if it's cloudy out, your skin is being bombarded by UV rays. The sun does not have to be shining for sun damage to occur. In fact, really, to some extent, unless the sun is shining, sun damage is a bit of a misnomer. It's really UV damage, and that UV light, particularly UVA, which are the sun's most damaging rays, the UVB is damaging to a lesser degree, but that's sort of like saying smoking 25 cigarettes is better than smoking 40 cigarettes in a day. It's still a cigarette, it's still going to cause you harm. Those rays are present, UVA in particular, anytime you can see daylight. The UVB rays have a greater intensity in midday to early afternoon in most parts of the world. Bottom line though, yes, you still need sunscreen. If you are not outside as much, and if you don't live in an area that gets a lot of sunlight in the winter, and the days are shorter in terms of how much daylight we're getting in certain parts of the world at this time of year, you can consider switching to a lower SPF rating. Personally, I stick with my SPF 50 year round, and the way I get around when it's not quite as sunny out, or if I'm not going to be outside for a long period of time, is that I apply a little less of it, just a little less. In June, when it's sunny here in Michigan and I'm outside much more often, doing yard work, walking the dogs or whatever, I slather the sunscreen on. Not as much at this time of year. I still put it on, and I still put it on liberally and evenly, but I just don't go nuts with it the way I do in the summer. Okay. Lisa is a duck. Oh, quack, quack. Bryan, what is your opinion on pricey brands like PCA Skin and Obagi that estheticians use? It can depend on the brand. Generally not a big fan of Obagi, not because they're not using some good ingredients, but because last time I checked at least, the Obagi products were pretty bare bones. They kind of capitalize on one good ingredient and charge you a heck of a lot of money for that. PCA Skin is more of a mixed bag, and they're a larger line, so you can find some diamonds in the rough from PCA Skin, but I would say with almost 100% certainty that anything that PCA Skin is doing really well, you can find from another brand, and not just saying, oh, only Paula's Choice. There are several brands that isn't charging as much because you don't need to charge as much. That is one of the issues with esthetician lines, is that they give you this sales pitch, and with all due respect to estheticians, but a lot of times the sales pitch from the brand, and the estheticians, don't dispute this, or at least not many of them do, is that these esthetician sold brands or doctor sold brands are using exclusive concentrations of ingredients or superior grades. That may be true, but the concentrations and the grades of ingredients aren't limited. There isn't like some cosmeceutical standard where you can only use this combination of ingredients in this amount if you're a cosmeceutical line and you have to be sold by a doctor. No way, it isn't true. And more often than not, when we've reviewed these doctor and esthetician sold lines, they can have just as many problematic ingredients or problem formulas as quote-unquote mainstream or grocery store or drugstore lines. So what counts isn't as much where a skincare product is sold as what it contains and how it's packaged. If your esthetician is selling anti-aging moisturizers in jars, and these products are loaded with the kind of ingredients that make an anti-aging moisturizer able to help your skin look visibly younger, not a line you want to buy from. Jar packaging is not the way to go for those types of ingredients. They steadily break down with the daily exposure to light and air, unless it's an airless jar, and you can check to see if it is or not. If it has a little disc that you press down and then product comes out a tiny hole, that's an airless jar, as opposed to a wide open mouth that you can dip your finger in, which is kind of gross if you think about it. So yeah, that's where I stand on that. And I'll probably get hate mail from estheticians. But if you believe in those products and you're seeing great results, it doesn't change what the research shows to be true. Helen S. says, hey Bryan, if BHA 2% lotion isn't really working for me, how do I go forward? Well, you put one foot in front of the other. No, I'm being glib there, Helen. The lotion. Well, Helen, if you haven't tried the liquid, that would be my first suggestion, because the liquid, the 2% BHA liquid, has a different delivery system that can penetrate further into skin's uppermost layers than the 2% lotion, which is more of a slow release, controlled penetration. We also have a couple of higher strength BHA exfoliants, including the new advanced pore refining treatment with 4% BHA that you can take a look at. We position those more as like once or twice weekly alternates for your regular exfoliant, but they're formulated to be so gentle, they're so carefully formulated that you can certainly experiment with using them every night and see how your skin responds. And that can be particularly great if you have stubborn, clogged pores or more stubborn skin texture and skin tone issues. Okay, we have time for a few more questions. Oh, Derek Miller Handley had an interesting question. He says, speaking of new 10% AHA and 4% BHA, is the reasoning behind the move to formulate exfoliants at higher percentages that can be used daily versus weekly? Are they more beneficial? I wouldn't say that it's... What is the best way to answer this question? It's like I know what I want to say, and I'm trying to put my words together in a way that makes sense. And it could be that we're at the end of the hour, and I'm just sort of like, ugh. But anyway, this has been great, you guys. We have a series of lower strength BHA exfoliants, 1 to 2% salicylic acid, and we have a handful of AHA exfoliants that have 8% and 5% glycolic acid. Yes. Yes, that's correct. And then we have the body products. The new 10% AHA blend and the 4% BHA blend are designed to complement the benefits of the daily use exfoliants, or they can be used more often depending on the stubbornness and or severity of your skin concerns. You can also apply them at the same time if you find that layering helps you. So it's really a move on our part because we believe so strongly in the benefits of leave-on exfoliants. It's a move on our part to make sure that you have a sufficient number of strengths, of delivery systems, and of supporting ingredients that can make an incredible difference in concerns like large pores and various signs of aging, texture issues. We wanted to come closer with these new products of giving you sort of that at-home peel experience, but without resorting to giving your skin this huge hit of acid, and I mean like glycolic, not psychedelics, in a base that I've seen in a lot of peels where you're getting a lot of alcohol, like denatured alcohol, and I get why they use those ingredients because they're solvents, and they're a drying solvent, and they help those acids get into the skin's uppermost layers even faster, but they can have a serious kickback in terms of causing irritation. Okay, a couple more questions here. We can run over a bit because I had that delay. Tammy says, how often should I use the new AHA product? If you are not using any other type of exfoliant, I would say 3 to 4 times a week at night. See how your skin does. If you are using a regular exfoliant on the daily, I would say try rotating this in at night after cleansing and toning once or twice a week. But again, it's not like you're not going to have big problems if you use it more often than that. I don't want you to be afraid of these products, but I do want you to experiment with them to see the frequency of application that works best for your specific concerns. It isn't like a one-size-fits-all type of a product in terms of how often you should use it. Like a cleanser, twice daily. That's an easy one. Ivan says, should I put sunscreen on eyelids? Kisses from Croatia. Oh, thanks, Croatia. Okay, generally no. Generally no, unless it is a mineral sunscreen only, which the only active ingredients will be titanium dioxide and zinc oxide. Those are pretty much across the board considered non-sensitizing. All of the other sunscreen ingredients, if they get into the eye itself, which if you're putting it right along the lash line on the, here's your eyelid, you're very close to the eye itself and you're close to the tear duct, which is the port of entry for things that can irritate your eye. I prefer either using a mineral sunscreen, and it could be from like not a tinted concealer, a concealer that has SPF. I believe Clinique, just off the top of my head, Clinique sells one that has an SPF 20, I think, which would be great to put on your eyelids because it's a gentle fragrance-free product. And then your Also, you're also camouflaging the natural discoloration a lot of people have on the eyelids because the skin there is so thin. If that doesn't sound appealing to you, or you can't find a good product that only has those mineral sunscreens, the next best thing is to get a pair of wraparound sunglasses. And by that, I mean the frame covers this area. And it has like that little, it's not just exposing this part and this part of your eyes or eye area to sunlight. It actually is almost like a shield all around your eyes, and it's got the thicker side pieces so that UV light isn't getting in from the sides and damaging your eyes. Those types of sunglasses are absolutely out there, and that's an easy way to do it. No sunscreen needed. Ah, Tammy says Aquaphor is the bomb. I did all that when I was on Isotretinoin. Yeah. Actually, Megan, that reminds me, ask your dermatologist if he or she is aware of any online support forums for people who have been through what your son is going through, because I'll bet you could find a lot of helpful information there, whether you want to look on behalf of your son or if you think your son is committed enough to this, and I'm sure he's computer savvy, to follow that type of stuff himself. He could probably get a lot of interesting, helpful tips there from people who have walked this road before him. Okay. Let's do running just a little bit over. Maria says that your ratio of omega-3 to omega-6, omega-3 should be higher, has also been linked to acne in some studies. She's referring to dietary ratios. That is true. If your internal ratio in terms of what you're eating of the omegas, and the typical American diet is much higher in omega-6 fatty acids than omega-3s. And if you get, it's just like a lot of different nutrients, if you get more, if you're consuming more than one than another, you're not paying attention to the spectrum and aiming for balance, things can get out of whack and your health can get out of whack, and that can start affecting your appearance. So absolutely, as you're examining your diet in terms of what you can eliminate to possibly prevent breakouts, also look at what you could be adding that could help improve the look of your skin as well. Very good point, Maria. Thank you. All right, one more question. Lottery. Stop. Oh, Sonia. Sonia's liking the multi-correcting treatment that I mentioned earlier that you can get through Europe. Caroline wants to know if I can talk about hormonal acne around the mouth and the chin. I can talk about that. It's actually a fairly fast answer, so I'll close with this. Regardless of what is triggering the breakouts, what the research has shown is that acne breakouts, and when we're talking over the counter, respond best to the combination of a gentle cleanser, no soaps, no bar cleansers. Those can make acne worse and they can leave a film and residue on your skin. A leave-on exfoliant, with beta-hydroxy acid, which is also known as salicylic acid. If breakouts are a concern, I'd push you towards the 2% concentration of that active ingredient, such as what we have in the Paula's Choice Clear line. And then the last in the acne arsenal is a topical leave-on product with benzoyl peroxide at either a 5 or a 10% concentration. If your breakouts are more stubborn, at a 2.5% or 5%. There are 10% benzoyl peroxide concentrations out there, but they generally tip the scales in favor of side effects like dryness, sensitivity, and redness. And interestingly, although of course 10% of something is more than 5% of something, in the case of benzoyl peroxide, the research has shown that in the comparative research, which is one of my favorite kinds, has shown that 5% benzoyl peroxide works as well as 10% benzoyl peroxide for most people with acne. But with 5%, you get a much lower risk of those unwanted side effects. So that's the trifecta. Who asked that question? Caroline. If your acne isn't responding to consistent use of those types of products, and you want to give it at least 2 to 3 weeks, ideally a month. Obviously, discontinue use if things are getting worse. Things with acne shouldn't get worse before they get better. You shouldn't see drying, peeling, uncomfortable skin. If that's the case, stop what you're doing and consult your dermatologist. Also consult your dermatologist if your skin is not responding to the over-the-counter acne products, because he or she has a wealth of other options that you can use instead of or with over-the-counter skincare for acne. All right, guys, that is it for now. This seems to be working well, and you guys are a never-ending source of questions, which is just so cool. So I'll be back. Let's see, December 7th. I think we are doing another show next week, which would be the 14th, and that will be the last live chat with me for the year because I'm taking some vacation time. So save up your questions. We'll do some next week. Maybe I'll have some eggnog. Maybe I'll wear a Santa hat. You'll have to come back and see. Anyway, in all seriousness, thank you for your questions. Thank you for supporting Paula's Choice, and thank you for having this dialogue with me. It's I know I can't see you, and you can see me, and that can seem a little weird sometimes, just talking to a dot. But I know the information is getting out there, and that you guys are benefiting from it, and that is what matters. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next week.